The following broadcast is a presentation of Mount Zion Media Ministry.
The subject of the sermon: the perfect love triangle. The perfect love triangle. I know that most of you in here, and I say most, have been instructed to stay away from love triangles because they are not good for you. But this morning, I want to suggest that there is one love triangle that you ought to be in if you want to be in a relationship with another person as husband and wife. And again, for the single people, even if you are looking at somebody for dating, you too ought to consider this love triangle. Because I want to suggest to you that without it, no relationship will be complete. You can stay together for 40, 50, 60 years, however long you want to stay. But it will never be all that it could be unless you have in place this love triangle. And now you can put it in place, but not work at making it the perfect. And by perfect, I mean complete triangle, that it operates like it is supposed to operate. And so I want to move right now into this text and suggest to you that you and I can create the perfect love triangle. And in the end, we will have a relationship so fulfilling that you won't even be able to stand yourself. When you look in the mirror, you will be so happy you'll kiss yourself. That when you walk around and people see you at work and in the community, they will stop and ask you, ma'am, what is it? Why you glow like that, sir? Why are you walking like that? Why are you look so joyful, you look so confident. What is it, sir? You said, I'm in a love triangle. And it's the perfect love triangle. So here it is. Pastor Simmons, how do we create this love triangle? I'm glad you asked. So for those of us who are married, and for those of us who think about marriage in a relationship, here it is. You and I create the perfect love triangle when we recognize and respect the parties in the relationship. You got to know who the three people are. It's obvious who two of them are. That's the husband and the wife. But you got to know who the third person is. And the third person in the relationship has to be God. So when you stood before me or some other preacher to be married, you understood that you were not just entering into a covenant with each other, but that covenant also included God himself. And the covenant didn't end when you said, I do, but the covenant relationship between the two of you and God continues for the duration of the marriage. Now you can leave him out when you leave the altar, but you're headed for trouble. Or you can put somebody else in his place and you're headed for trouble. And so here it is, plain and simple. And so the man, ladies, that you're in a relationship with, you want to check to see before you say I do, that he recognizes and respects the place of God in his personal life. And then he brings that recognition and respect into the married life. And sisters and brothers, you need to make sure that the sister recognizes and respects the place of God in her life. Hear me. The first thing you want to know is not, can I have your number? You don't want to start with inboxing somebody, hey, can I holler at you? Call me, I saw you at Mount Zion today. You don't want to be enamored or swept away by their appearance. That's not going to sustain a relationship. You don't want to be enamored and swept away by how much money they make or what they drive. Because all of that, while it may look good to that, none of that will make you joyful and fulfilled. It'll make you happy for a minute, but you know. And so you want to have some conversation about the place of God in that person's life. And then, as a couple, you want to have some conversation about, okay, it's me and you. I know what my role is. I know what your role is. But do we agree on what God's role is? And here it is, that God is the head, that he's really in charge. And so when the man say, I'm the head, he's really the little head. Because God is the head of that family. And the man serves in that role as the head. He is, if you will, the under shepherd who leads at the direction of God, his family. But now if you're married to me and I don't buy that God thing, then you need to know you're going to be in trouble with me. And if it's you, I'm going to be in trouble with you, because we need God to sustain the right kind of relationship. And you know why? Because you and I need things to be whole individuals that only God can give us. You and I need things that only God can give us in marriage to make the marriage whole. And in case you missed it, let me rewind and say it again. If you're in a relationship that's somebody who's not whole, who don't like themselves, who got issues with themselves, you in for some trouble. Because their misery with themselves is going to spill over in the relationship. And you're going to be arguing and fighting over stuff and dealing with issues that have nothing to do with the marriage, but it has to do with the person who, for whatever reason, mixed up themselves. So I want to know, what's your relationship with the Lord? And don't tell me how often you go to church. But I want to know about your relationship with the Lord. And then I got to speed up. I could get stuck and teach this all day, but let me speed up here. And not only do I take what you say, but during the duration of the relationship, I'm watching. Okay, you say he's the head. I'm checking out your prayer life. I'm checking out how you make decisions while we are dating. How often do you hear them say, well, let me pray about that? How often do you say, well, the word says. And so you want to make sure that everybody not only recognize, but respect the parties in the triangle. It's God, it's you, and it's you. Amen? And then here is the other thing that I want to show you right here, is that God gives us a pattern in the relationship. And so we have to create this perfect relationship, this perfect love triangle, by recognizing and respecting the pattern. And here it is. Here's the pattern. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as unto the Lord. Say amen if you can. Amen. But the wife is to submit to the husband as unto the Lord. I'm going to say something else about that in a minute, but I see the ladies. The ladies I hadn't got an amen out of woman yet. And so you want to have some dialogue about that submission piece, because here it is. See, you might be married to or dating or married to a woman who says, well, I grew up in a family, and Big Mama and my mama, they didn't submit to any man. The women in my family ran things. And you need to know that if we get together, you are not going to be running me. I'm not submitting to you. We're going to be equal partners. In fact, I'll be in control. If you go along with that, You're setting yourself up for trouble. And don't come to me asking me to counsel to help your wife understand, because she told you before you even got together that I'm going to be like Big Mama and Mama. I'm running this house. Say amen if you can. But ladies, listen, let me help you to breathe, because I see you all drawn up and tight now. So let me. It says, wives, listen, you got to read the whole verse. Wives, submit to your husbands as unto the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church and the Savior of the body. Look at the pattern. Wives, submit as unto the Lord. The flip side of that is the Lord has expressed himself in a particular way to the church and the woman. And in response to the way the Lord has lorded over the woman is expected to submit. Now that means the man has to follow the pattern of the Lord as he acts as head. He can't act like his daddy acted and expect her to submit. He can't act like the world system says he's supposed to act and submit. He has to lord as the Lord lorded. And when he lords, the expectation is that the woman submits. So the question becomes, is the man leading like the Lord? And again, the pattern is the way the Lord loves the church. Who is responsible for providing for the church? The Lord. Who is responsible for protecting the church? The Lord. Who is it that edifies and builds up the church? The Lord. Who is it that makes sure that the body of Christ is pure and holy and whole? The Lord. There's a verse out of Romans 12:1. Brethren, I beseech you by the mercies of God that you present yourself holy and acceptable your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to the Lord. And that word mercies in there, present yourself according to the mercies of God. I mean, based on what God has done for you, here is what you ought to do. And brothers, I'm not saying you got to be perfect in it. We got to be perfect. But we work at doing that. We recognize the pattern. I recognize that I love my daddy, as much as a man can love his father. And I think my daddy was a great man, and I patterned my life after him to a degree. But I ain't trying to be the husband my daddy was, because it was flawed. The perfect pattern is the one that the Lord gave for us in the church. So sisters, submit as unto the Lord. Not in some things, in everything. Husbands, come a little closer to me now. Let me talk about you. Verse 25. And husbands, love your wives even as Christ also loved the church. And then that's how I get to that point about how men lead like the Lord led, and then the women submit like they submit unto the Lord. See, we love them as Christ loved the church. And what's the pattern? You examine the way that Christ loved the church, and then we strive to love our wives. And if you're in a relationship and you're not married, your significant other in the same way. But let me rewind to say something here. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're not married, that surrender and submit part doesn't go for you 100%. Because it says you got to submit to your own husband, not your own boyfriend. And listen, don't be offended by what I'm getting ready to say. Even if y'all living together, he ain't your husband. And it's a dangerous thing to surrender to something and somebody that God has not ordered you to surrender to. So husbands, love your wives. as Christ loved the church. And then it goes on to talk about how he gave himself. He literally died for the church to sanctify the church. And all these words, the washing of water in the word, and present it to himself as a glorious church. All of that describes God's effort to make the church whole, to help the church become all that she is to come. And a man loves his wife or his significant other with the intent of helping her to be whole and become all that God has created her to be. There's nothing in that that says he tears her down. There's nothing in that that says he discourages her. There's nothing in there that says he beats her down, but he supports and undergirds her. And let me just make it real plain for the world that you live in. And so, if there's something that the wife is working toward, then the husband encourages that. If they've agreed, this is it, babe. And so now you encourage her. And so, for example, let's just say she's in school and she texts you. You text her, hey, I'm coming over. She said, no, I'm studying right now. Got a test tomorrow, or I just need to be studying. Then you respect that, and you don't just show up anyway. Don't be texting me. Don't be calling me. Because if you respect me and my ability to do what I've been called to do, you won't interrupt. I just told you I couldn't see you right now. Don't be coming over here, people ain't the one trying to see who in here. Don't be texting me, asking me why I couldn't respond. I told you. And if you really love me, you will give me the room to work on my stuff. Sisters, give him some space. He told you, Now don't be running over to the house, kicking doors in. Don't be scratching the cars up. What Charlotte said, y'all be keying cars. Don't y'all be doing that. This wasn't part of the sermon, but since Charlotte said it, I put it out there. You cannot hurt them to the point to make them love you. You can scratch all the cars you want, break, bust. I bust your one. You can bust all the windows out. That's not gonna get it. Let me say this, because I want to move a little faster. But let me tell you why this pattern is important. Because the Creator knows you better than you know yourself. There are things that you're not even aware that you need in order to be fulfilled and made whole. And so God gives you the pattern because he knows better than you what you need. And so if you follow his pattern, wives submitting to the husband as unto the Lord, and the husband, you loving your wives as the Lord, what you end up creating is a relationship that's healthy and whole. And I don't want to leave anybody with any clouded mind about what I'm saying here. Husbands are not supposed to beat up and dominate women. I want to be clear on that. However, he has a responsibility for leadership, and based on his position as the under shepherd, he has to lead. And sisters, let me talk to the brothers for a minute. If in any realm of leadership, you voluntarily give up that leadership to your wife, then without her saying it and even being aware of it, a little bit of respect has been lost. And you need her to respect you. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. And so that's the pattern. Now, let me show you the priority in this relationship, in this triangle. And this one, brothers and sisters, I need you to come close to me, because I just sense in my spirit that there's some folk in here that got a problem with what I'm getting ready to say now. And there's more on the pattern, but you read it. I got to move. Look at verse 31. It says, for this cause shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall be joined unto his wife, and they two shall be one flesh. That right there speaks of the priority of the relationship. In the Jewish culture, the number one relationship in the man's life was that with his parents. But here at the point of marriage, he says that the man got to leave his house, his mama and his daddy, and be joined or cleave unto his wife so that they can be one, because you can never be one as long as one of you cleaving to somebody else as the primary relationship. There are other relationships, but once you get together, the priority changes. Make it plain, Pastor Simmons. Your mama is not your number one priority. Your daddy, your mama shouldn't have your ear more than your wife or your husband. Can I get a witness here? And I don't know because it didn't say it, but I'm wondering if the reason they put the emphasis on the man is because men have a more difficult time of leaving mama's coattail. I just wonder. So hear me, the priority. And so in the relationship, his friends, her friends, not the priority. Your pleasure, your leisure, not the priority. Your family, not the priority. Now, fellas, I was guessing about the other part about whether men have a problem, but let me tell you something I'm not guessing about, and y'all ought to pay me for this one right here. Y'all ought to start throwing money on the altar, and we don't even do that. Again, God knows what a woman needs in a relationship because he made her. And what she needs, and some women are not even aware of this until somebody comes along and meet this need and blow them out the water. She needs to know that she is a priority in your life. And not just a priority, but the priority. And see, you're talking about meeting her need, and you're talking about making her feel special. Make her the priority. And you don't make it by lip service, but you make it by action. Show her through your action, baby, you are the priority. And that means you drop some stuff to take care of her. You drop some people to take care of her. It might be your fraternity meeting, large meeting, night out, but she said, babe, I need you. Okay, babe, let me call these folks, tell them I'm not coming. Because you the priority. Babe, I'm across the world. Okay, baby, I'm going to take a plane or train or something, but I'm coming to where you are. Because you're the priority. And can I let y'all in on a little secret, fellas? Again, y'all ought to pay me for this. You catching a lot of hell and spending a lot of money that you wouldn't have to spend if you just made her a priority. See, she's mad with you. And there's some passive-aggressive behavior because she feels neglected and like she don't matter. And since you feel like she don't matter and neglected, you gonna pay for that now. And you're going to pay in a whole lot of ways. And you just, and then here's the other thing. She's going to make you spend some money on stuff that she don't really want. But here is what's in her mind. Since I am not his priority, and he going to spend this on somebody else, I might as well spend it before he spend it on them. Ladies, go and clap and tell him he telling the truth. She really could have done without that Louis Vuitton. But she might as well spend it. You're going to spend it on them. She really could have done without that diamond you had to buy, without that car you had to buy, that new furniture you had to buy, without that shopping spree she went on. But if you don't make her a priority, she's going to make you make her a priority. See, when you make her a priority, she'll say, babe, you know what? I really would like that, but, I know we can't afford that right now, so, I got you. And I know I'm important to you, so whenever we can get to that, fine, but I don't need that right now. But you mess around and go spend that money on that other priority. And especially when every time she needs or wants something, you ain't never got nothing. But as soon as somebody else come along, you got it. Again, y'all ought to pay me. Y'all ought to pay me for this stuff. It's free. Even if it's your mom, even if it's your daddy, even if it's your children, your grown children. Hey, baby, I ain't got nothing. Then your grown children call you, and then you send it to them. You just messed up. You. Ladies, hunch them and tell them, y'all better listen. Y'all better listen. Make her a priority. And the benefits from that will blow your mind. I'll leave it right there. Come back Wednesday night, and I'll tell you, I'll go a little deeper. Verse 33, and I'm through. So you got to recognize and respect the parties. It's God, it's me, and it's the other person. Got to recognize the pattern. And I didn't go through all of it, but wives submitting and husband loving, and he loves you like the Lord loves you, and you submit as if you're submitting to the Lord. And then you make her a priority. Hey man, why are you leaving, going home? It's just midnight. Well, you know, my wife said she want me home. She don't want the dew to hit my head. That's what my daddy used to tell us, don't let the dew hit your head. But, you know, she wants me home at a certain time. And even though I don't feel the need, because I want her to know that I respect her desires, I'm going to be home. Fellas, I know y'all laughing at me, but let me call and check in. You got to check in, man. You're going to be like, yeah, I'm going to be like that. I'm calling and I'm checking in. Because I want to show her that y'all are not the priority, but she is. And then here is this last one, and I'm through. There's a foundational principle through all of this teaching that he has given us. And this precept or principle, whichever you want to call it, is in verse 33. He sums it up. Nevertheless, let every one of you in particular so love his wife as himself, and the wife see that she reverence her husband. The foundational precept is right there. Fellas, if you want to get it right, learn how to love your wife. And let me tell you this. Do not love her and treat her like you want to be treated. That is wrong. The golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, don't apply in marriage or a relationship between a man and a woman. Because God created you different and the needs are different. What will please you will tick her off.
Thanks for watching. Be blessed and continue walking in the light.